Welcome to our channel, RV the Bus.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of RV That Bus. So we are home. Our trip was a success. We went 6,000 miles across the US. The bus did great. As you know, we had a flat tire, but other than that, everything was functional. It worked. Nothing broke. But there are some projects that we need to do. One of the things that we need to figure out is what to do with this front area. We originally were thinking that we will continue our flooring down here. But unfortunately, when looking at this area right here, if we were to put the flooring there, it would interfere with the door. So we got to figure out what to do about that. I want to change the headlights out here. So we have some regular halogen lights. I believe it was Eric Scott on the Facebook group. Did a pretty good post where he took his lights apart, cleaned the inside of the bulbs with some rubbing alcohol, got the lenses all clean now. Our lights are in good shape, but you can kind of see here there's like some cloudiness in the lens itself. So I think we could probably get that, like this guy looks a lot better, but this guy here on the outside is the actual low beam. And I think we could clean him up. We'll order a set of LED bulbs for him and put those in. Now I have LED lights on my truck and they work great. We're gonna need to spray all of this, make it all look nice and new. Found out that I need a new door button. As you can tell, it's pretty worn, but I'm having to push this guy like 3 or 4 times before the door will actually open. I have another one of these guys. So this is kind of like the information center of the bus. Tells you your miles per gallon, your idle times, etc. The screen on him doesn't really work that well, and I have another one, but I got to figure out how to get back there to undo the bolt, the little nuts on. There's 2 studs, so that guy can pull out and put my other one in there and see if that guy works. We got to finish the trim over here and how that's going to flow with the wood and the corners. So we have another corner over there, how all that's going to go. Paint, cover this, etc. Other than that, in this area of the bus, everything is good. We are going to put some outlets down here on the end caps so that we just have some more outlets. We had one piece of tile here, so it's actually extremely sticky, but it doesn't stick to this area. So I'm gonna sand this with some, maybe like some 80 grit or something, give it some nice texture for that glue to stick to. I'll try putting this guy back up there. Like I said, he's still extremely sticky. I just want to avoid having to go get the tile saw again and cut him. But you can see like the one below, I mean, like, he is stuck on here. Like, so this one works good. It's just this area right here. I don't know if it's the texture of the paint or whatever, but it just does not want to stick there. When I did the caulking, this is like the worst caulking job in the world. I did the caulking, yeah, see, like all of these are stuck. They're not coming off. It's like the wood that's flexing here, not the tile. So I ran my bead of caulk around the outside here, and then when I went to go wipe my finger in the maybe 2 minutes or so, because it was like 120 degrees inside the bus when I did this, it had already like formed a skin over it. So when I wiped my finger, that looks absolutely terrible. We need to do that. Our dishwasher works great. I just need to put the screws into the countertop here. You can hear they're kind of loose, so the dishwasher moves around a little bit. It brings us to our fridge. Our fridge, we have like a little mount up there. So we actually run this strap and we run it through the doors, and that way it keeps the doors shut. And that's been working really well. Pulls the door shut. Problem is it kind of moves side to side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some like aluminum angle and mount it down here so that it keeps it, you know, it's like in a little track here so that it doesn't move either way. So we'll do that. I got another, so switching this guy from a single gang to a 2 gang, and then we'll put the 2 outlets here. That way we have 4. in this corner here, because once we plug the microwave in, that only leaves us with one. It's kind of a pain. Electrical here for the lights. Right now everything is just all butt connected. I'm going to cut all these off and I'm going to buy a Deutsch connector, which basically is like a pluggable connector with the little crimper ends on each side. That way I can plug and unplug these. Because this is like the harness for the actual light. This is the harness for the switches, etc. So I want to be able to keep these together, but I want to be able to unplug this part in this box and make this removable so that if I want to change the software, add a circuit, etc., I can do so without having to like cut everything apart. Sorry, it's kind of dark in here. We don't have the lights on. It keeps it nice and cool. The next thing that we need to do is we need to do all of our pocket doors. So that's what I'm going to be working on today. We have the tracks in here. So these are like the little hooks that it sits on. So there's like a little plate that goes into the door, and then this, it kind of hangs on these guys and he goes. So I've already measured, we have 74 inches to the bottom of this guy to the floor. So 74 inches to here. And then I'm going to do 3 inches off the wall, and then we'll do 3 inches off this side. And that will put our posts where they need to be. Now our doors are actually 22 inches wide. Our doors are 24, so we'll have 2 inches back in this pocket. The other thing is this pocket right here is actually 27 inches deep. So the door will actually go 3 inches in. So I'm gonna need to find a way to kind of pull the door out. I also wanna make it so that when you shut the door, it doesn't just keep going and like slam. So I probably want to find some maybe like little rubber bumpers or something that I can just put back in there that keeps the doors. The other thing is we're going to need to make some type of a latch here with just like a bar that rotates and, you know, clasps onto a pin here. And that way the door can't come out while we're moving. So that'll keep the door in that pocket while we're driving. And I just got to do that 3 times, 1, 2, and 3. So I'm gonna have to measure all of this again and again. And I've got Dana on finding some hardware. So one of the things is with pocket doors is there's usually like a little like recess or pocket, whatever, like a hardware, so that you can grab it with your finger and shut it. We're trying to figure out, do we want one with a clasp? Because the clasps are only keyed on one side so that if somebody's in the bathroom and they lock the door, that somebody on the outside can't just grab it and open it and go in there and be like, oh, you're in the bathroom. So there's that. If our worry is if one of the kids goes in there and shuts the door, we won't be able to get to it from this side, and that'll kind of be bad. So we're kind of wondering, do we go with the clasps that grab this edge and shut the door, or do we go with just a pocket so that you can grab it with your fingers? So we're trying to figure that out. So that's today's project. We have our doors right here. These are interior doors. They are solid pine. They are 1 3/8 inch thick, and they are solid. It is not a hollow core. This is complete solid wood. It is heavy, but it will also help with cooling. We'll be able to just shut this door right here, and then we can turn off the front, and that way we're not cooling the entire bus the whole way. We can just cool the back area while we're sleeping and shut this, and that'll give us not only smaller square footage for air conditioner, which will work extremely well. Now, we didn't really have any problems. We have 2 rooftop air conditioning units, and I know that that's a concern to some people. They're, you know, we kind of heard along the way, oh, you're gonna need 3, you might need 4. Our 2 work fine. The back of the bus with the added insulation, etc., gets extremely cold. Now the front, we probably could use another one, but at the same time, I think it's kind of a moot point with the amount of windows we have in here. When it's hot, those windows are 100 degrees, you know, and there's, you know, 7 of them, fairly large. I just think that that's a battle that we're probably not going to win unless we throw massive amounts of cooling in here, which I just don't want to do. I don't want it to be like a wind tunnel in here. So if it's, you know, when I say it's a little warm, I'm not saying that it's 100 and something degrees. You know, when it's 110 out, we were able to be 80 in here. So that's a 30-degree drop. It feels cool when you're in here, and 80 is just fine for the front area. Now in the back, we're able to get it down into like the 60s because of all the added insulation and the walls and all that stuff. And all of this stuff kind of takes up the square footage, you know, like these AC units are rated for a certain tonnage and cubic foot, and with the beds and this and that. Now we're about to put bunk beds with mattresses and yada, yada, yada. We're also going to be putting the doors on these guys. We're going to be closing these guys off. So that's just going to make the square footage even smaller, make that AC unit even more effective. So for right now, got to drag these 3 guys out of the bus and put them on my truck, measure them to 74 inches, clamp a guide, and cut them. I just bought a brand new, super sharp, ultra fine Diablo blade. So hopefully we get a nice clean cut on these. And you can kind of see what we're going to do here. So like this is the top of the door. It's nice and skinny. And then down here at the foot, we've got a lot to work with. So we're only cutting about 4 inches off of this door. And again, it is solid, so it's not a hollow core, so we don't mess with the integrity of the door. So, all right, let's get to it. So this is how I go about measuring our pocket doors. What you're going to do is you're going to measure from the floor up to the post, and what I have is 73 3/8. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to measure down from the top 73 3/8, and then I'll put a piece of tape, and then I'll measure on this side 73 3/8, and then I'll measure from the center 73 3/8. When you are making a line, no matter how long it is, etc., always give yourself 3 points. Why 3 points? Because 2 points, right? If I only use 2 points can be crooked. But if I use 3 and you make a line through those 3, then you know something's wrong. Always use 3 points of reference when you scribe a line across anything. And when you scribe the line, it needs to go through all 3 points. When we go like this, our line will go nice and straight through all 3. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark that with some tape. Here's my 3 points. It's 73 3/8 to the far side of the tape. Now I'm going to take another piece of tape and I'm going to go across all 3 tight to the bottom. And this piece of tape should make a nice straight line across all 3. And I'm going to cut along the bottom. So I'll go ahead and put that line now. Okay, so here's my tape line. It went nice and tight to all 3 spots. Nice and straight. Now I've also put some other pieces of tape here. Now why did I do that? Well, not only am I going to follow this line with my saw, I'm going to use a straight edge and I'm going to place it like this, and I'm going to use it as a guide and clamp it to my workpiece, and that way my saw blade follows that nice straight line rather than me doing it by hand. Because when you have something, so this will be a 1/4 inch gap to the floor. If I try and do this by hand and I've got this big wavy thing, when it's a 1/4 inch away, it's going to stick out like a sore thumb. And especially like when, let's say somebody's in the bathroom and the door's shut and the light is shining underneath the bottom of the door, and you're going to have this glowing bright light, it's going to attract your eye and you're going to see this wavy, janky cut that you tried to do by hand. You know, they have clamp-on jigs that you can get, etc. Just get yourself a piece of wood, clamp it on there. Now, where do you clamp it in relation to your saw? So here's my saw. It's a skill saw. Pushing this across my table saw would just be ridiculous. So I have my ultra fine, ultra finish Diablo blade on here. Got nice, sharp, new blade. Lots of little teeth. Give us a nice, clean cut. You can see here, here's a piece that I cut earlier. It is nice and clean, nice and tight all the way through. No tear out, etc. This is a door. You want it to be beautiful, right? Well, you should want everything to be beautiful, but you know, you don't want jagged cuts. Get yourself, when you're doing this stuff or cabinetry, etc. It is super important you use a nice, sharp blade, good quality. I have really good luck with these Diablo blades. The blades that come with the saws when you buy them are absolute garbage. Brand new saw, take that blade out, throw it in the trash. It's junk. It cuts terrible. You know, you're buying this saw I used for my cutting the countertops, right? Like, I don't traditionally use a skill saw. I don't feel like it makes a very good cut. If I can, I'll use my miter saw or I'll use my table saw. Those make super accurate to the degree cuts. This or a jigsaw, I only use it when I have to. This saw was like 40 bucks. That blade was $25. That blade costs half as much as the saw. Doesn't matter what the saw is, get yourself a nice blade. That makes everything when you're doing these cuts. So where do I know where to put my guide? Well, the blade, right, if you look at the blade, so if we peel back the guard, now I'm peeling back the guard, we're not plugged in. So make sure you're not plugged in. There we go, we're unplugged. So this blade, right there, from this side to this guard is exactly 1.5 inches. And then the blade itself, those teeth, you're going to lose 1/16 of an inch every cut. So you want to do, if you want 7 3/8, you're going to want to do back off 1.5 from there plus the 1/16. That'll get you your cut. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure 1.5 plus the 1/16 and clamp this guy down again. 1, 2, 3. Get yourself a nice straight cut. You don't want it to be like this or like this. 3 points. Use a guide. Use a tape. This guy also has a laser on it. It's gimmicky. I don't trust that. But follow this nice straight tape line with your blade. It'll make a nice clean cut. And it will look visually appealing to the eye. Because like I said, any bit of light gets under this thing, it's going to attract your eye. And it's going to stick out like a sore thumb. So I'm going to go ahead and make my cut, clamp this guy down, etc. And my door should be done. And that's how I'm making these cuts. When you need to make nice, accurate cuts, use a guide, use 3 points, use a visual reference, have a nice, good blade. There you go. All right, we got our door trimmed, and what you do is you mount these 2 little brackets up here, and then there's these posts, and you just click them into the posts on both sides. So we put ours in 3 inches from the sides. Why 3 inches? Well, because this guy right here stops at 2.5. Now we don't want to go all the way to 2.5 and like bottom out and keep having this thing banging up against the stop. So we go 1/2 inch in at 3 inches, and that gives us a full close. And you can see, so we have to put a little spacer on the bottom that keeps him centered so that he doesn't rub on the wall. But there's our pocket door. Sweet. It's going to be so nice to have a door for our shower so that when you go to take a shower, the entire RV park can't see you in the shower. But that also means that I need to take care of that. And Dana, I have her on the hunt looking for some hardware. I'm going to put the little spacers down here on the bottom, or we're going to try and figure out what we can put down there. And it's just to keep this guy centered. So you can see right now the bus is kind of on a decline, and so we have maybe 1/4 of an inch of wiggle room. and that just keeps him nice and centered. So you can see like the gap is very tight in the here. And that's what we want, right? Like, we don't want a big ugly gap in between here. So that's how that works. I'm gonna take this blue painter's tape off right here, and one door is complete. On to the next. All right, guys. Sorry it's a little dark, but door number 2 is in. Nice tight gap. We've got maybe a 1/4 inch of room down there at the bottom, so that's plenty. And it's open. Awesome. It is going to be game-changing to have doors. I'm super excited. We just got to work out, like I said, the little spacers on the bottom here that keep it centered in the doorway. And that way it's nice and smooth when it opens and shuts. I'll probably, like I said, probably get like a furniture pad, like the thing that goes on the bottom of like a, you know, like a chair or something like that, so you don't mark up the floor. I don't want something too hard because it's gonna rub on here, and I don't want to have like a line. So, and then we'll get our hardware, and yeah, I think that'll be awesome. I'm super excited with how it came out. It's pretty amazing to me, just in building this thing, just the tolerances on everything, how nice and tight everything is. You can see this one is also nice and tight. That's amazing to me that this is all coming together. So we have 2 pocket doors done. I'm going to go ahead and cut number 3. However, the hardware that goes here has grown legs, and it has gone to another place somewhere, unfortunately, and I don't know where it went. Now, the funny thing is, look up here. Nope, it's not up there. I don't know. I'll try looking at home. But the funny thing is it actually comes like stapled to the frame here. And the bag actually says, do not remove until you're ready to like use the hardware. And I'm pretty sure I know why, because everybody probably takes it out of the box, takes everything apart, and they lose the hardware. And that's not something that you can buy. They don't just sell those pieces that mount to those little posts. That's proprietary to that specific manufacturer's product. It's not a general pocket door item. And so, unfortunately, if we can't find that, that means we're going to have to buy another $75 pocket door. So, lesson learned, guys. If you're going to do pocket doors, do not lose the hardware because you can't get it. So, that's the pocket doors for today. I'm going to go ahead and cut this one just for the sake of cutting it. And that way that'll be done. That way we can just put the hardware on, put it in there, and then we are going to paint them. So they come primed, but they're not painted. So it's close, but not perfect. So that's that. Time to move on to the next project. Thanks for watching, everybody. Episode Pocket Doors. Like I said, this is big for us. This is privacy. This is efficiency with our cooling. As much as I love working on the bus, being in here after being in this thing for 4, almost 5 weeks, I just want to get in it and go again. So I'm looking forward towards the next one. And I'm hoping that all these little changes and these finishing touches that we're doing just make the next trip even better, because I think as we get more and more use out of this, we're going to become more comfortable with it. It's going to become more reliable. Not that it's been any unreliable, but the right word isn't dependable. It's just we're going to be comfortable with it. And so in the back of my mind, I'm not going to constantly be worried of, oh my God, this isn't going to work. Or what if this breaks? You know, like by then we'll have some hours on it and things will start to become normal. And for me, as somebody who built this giant thing, I'll be able to actually enjoy those vacations more and more. So thanks for watching, everybody. Have a great day.
Thanks for coming back for more videos.